Hey everybody, it's PJ from Wisconsin Airgunners. Today on the bench we have an exciting rifle from Alamo Airguns. This is my first opportunity to work with Alamo on a project, so very excited to get this one in. It is the Western Airguns Sidewinder. It's a 22 cal compact, and if you've watched the channel at all, you know how much I love a good compact airgun. The Western Sidewinder has two fire modes, semi and full auto, so we'll be testing both of those out. And it has a removable magazine, so you can have spares loaded and ready to go, which is a nice option, I guess I'd say, for a little bit of pest control. But you're here to see the gun and how it performs, so let's get it out of the box. Plenty of padding in there. Well, they sent it out in a nice soft case, kind of a departure from the usual hard plastic case. I'm not sure if this is how these normally ship. It's got a Sidewinder Velcro patch on it, but that could be an add-on. And here it is. So I knew they were doing some cerakote work and producing some additional, I would say, kind of beefed up 3D printed parts. So as you look around here, the green is cerakoted stock parts. The orange, you got a, I think this is a 0 dB moderator, and your cheek piece here. These are cerakoted. The blue is the frame, and that's cerakoted. They've got cerakoting on the barrel band, and actually even on the safety on this side is cerakoted. But these white parts, the one complaint I guess some people have had with the Sidewinder is that these parts aren't as, I don't know, as durable maybe, or they don't fill the space up as well. So I'm told by Alamo that they are going to be offering replacement parts for your Sidewinder if you want to replace those. And this is a guess, somewhere between a guess and an assumption, that these will be available in different colors to match whatever you're trying to do. Right off the bat, I know that some people will look at this and this is not their thing. I think the important part to look at if you don't like this color scheme is the idea that there's another airgun retailer out there who is doing some cerakote work. And in talking with Rudy, who's the owner over there at Alamo, they're not only doing this for airguns that they sell, but if you had an airgun, whether it's this one or a different one, and wanted cerakoting service done, you could contact them, send them your airgun or your parts. They will have this work done and then ship it back to you. So not a lot of places out there in the airgun world doing that, so I think that's kind of cool. Again, this color scheme may not be for you, and color scheme is probably not ever going to be the focus of one of my videos. But I can see, I do pest controls in neighborhoods, and I could see where this might be a little less concerning to some people versus its natural all black finish. So I can definitely see that there would be some utility, if not in this color scheme, in a color scheme like this, just to kind of take down that that somebody's walking with a scary black rifle through our neighborhood. So yeah, the finish is really nice. Whatever you think about the color scheme, there's like no bubbling, chipping, and it's cerakote, so you know it's going to be long lasting, which is really nice. I need to get some air into this rifle so we can get you some data on trigger pull and stuff like that. So I will be right back and we'll get this review started. Okay, she is aired up and ready for us to dive into some details. The air inlet is right here on this side, and it is just below the pressure gauge. It's a Foster fitting, so easy, no problems there. This is a 300 bar fill airgun. And if you look in the owner's manual that it comes with, which is actually a really nice, almost got a plasticky feel to it, like they almost laminated the pages. A lot of good information in there, and some information you will definitely want to read, particularly surrounding filling the airgun. It's a 300 bar fill. These come regulated at about 140 bar, and they advise you not to shoot below reg pressure. The regulator is adjustable. This piece right here is the regulator adjustment. You can increase to 190 bar. They say don't take it below 140, but then in another part of the manual, there's a reference to 120 being the minimum. But I would say I'd follow the 140 recommendation. They also specifically say, we don't recommend you change the regulator pressure. Now, I didn't see anywhere in the manual that changing reg pressure is going to void a warranty or anything like that, but they recommend you leave it set where it's set at the factory, because they've done some testing on the rifle, and that's where they feel it needs to be. But it is adjustable. What you're going to spend more of your time playing with is this knob down here. And this will allow you to turn your velocity up or down. And it's actually really nicely marked. On one side, you see an arrow for plus, which is increasing your velocity. And on the other side, you see an arrow with a minus, and turning it that way gets you less velocity. So I like when an air gun has really clear markings on it, because, you know, especially if you work with a lot of air guns, it can be hard to remember which this one and how this one works versus that one and how that one works. Your regulator pressure is back here. Also, while we're back here, you have what's really a selector switch. So you have a safe position, a semi position, and a full position. And then this airgun comes with a secondary trigger safety, which is either safe or fire. And it's a very easy, positive, kind of a no-nonsense lever. So you shouldn't have any problems with that. The barrel, well, this is a shorty version, compact version, and the barrel is threaded, and these look like half UNF threads. So you can add whatever your favorite moderator is. This one shipped to me with the 0 dB, so that's what we're gonna test with. This barrel, not absolutely unique, but unlike a lot of other air guns, the barrel itself actually threads into the action. So there are a couple of set screws that you would loosen, and then you can unthread the barrel to take it out if you needed to for cleaning or to clear out a jam, or change it, I guess, to a different barrel if you had access to a different barrel. But it is actually threaded into the action. You get Picatinny rails, a little section of pick rail down here. I've got a Scandinavian Airguns bipod attached to it, and they took the extra measure of securing the pick rail to a tank band. So this tank band just goes to that rail. It's independent of the barrel. There's no connection there. So your bipod isn't mechanically connected, so there's no possibility if you were really bearing down on the bipod and something flexed down here in this area, it won't affect your barrel, which is good. You've got a pretty long pick rail up here for mounting a scope. You've got pick rails on the sides, both sides, for an accessory. If I were doing some night hunting, there'd be definitely a flashlight there. The trigger, let's get you weight on the trigger. Before we do the trigger test, we need to make sure, because I just got this shipped to me and I doubt seriously they would have loaded, but you always need to confirm that an air gun is unloaded before you do anything like a trigger pull test, because you're actually firing the air gun. So in order to do this safely, we're going to make sure that the safeties are on. We're going to come over here to the magazine, and this little lever gets flipped down and then pushes back in the track, and that's going to allow us to take the magazine out. So we'll talk about loading this later, but there's a cover that comes off. It's magnetic. It can only go on one way. So I've looked, there's nothing in here. Now the manual says the only way to be absolutely certain that the air gun is unloaded is to dry fire it. So we're going to put the magazine, which we know is unloaded, back in. The gears go towards the back of the rifle. And when you put it in, you have to kind of get it, there's a little bit of a push down to get it to go into position. And then this knob goes back and up in its slot. Once that's done, I can turn this back lever to semi. I can turn the front safety to fire, point in a safe direction. We know it's empty. So now we can do trigger pull test. £1 pound, 6.5 ounces. £1 pound, 7.5 ounces. £1 pound, 4.6 ounces. Averaging at £1 pound, 6.2 ounces. So really a very light trigger. You are talking about a semi-automatic air gun, so you kind of pull back. It's fairly long. There is a stop point. And I would say it creeps a little as you go through, but it's light enough that it's not an unpleasant trigger. But if you're looking for match grade, you probably shouldn't be looking at semi-automatic air guns. It is not an adjustable trigger. I checked that out. So there are no user adjustable, although I think you could move the shoe up and down on the post. But other than that, the trigger is what it is. But from the, from the factory, from the box, £1 pound, 6.2 ounces, it's a pretty light trigger. I think that is kind of it for the walk around, which means we can take the time to get an optic on it and get it zeroed and get out to the bench to see what kind of accuracy you can expect. So before we head out to the bench, it seems like there's always one more thing to talk about. And I'm not probably going to be able to show you anything related to accuracy if we don't talk about an optic. So I'm going to be using one of the new Element Immersive optic scopes. It's a fixed 10 power with adjustable turrets. So for my shooting style, which is dialing, this works. For wide field of view, when you look at how short that tube is, one of the benefits of this style of optic is you get a much wider field of view because you're not looking through a long, narrow tube. So for close-up, iguana busting type of shooting, this winds up being a pretty good choice for that. Now this one happens to be in MOA, and my personal preference is mil, but I can make the adjustment. The optic comes with multiple mounting brackets, which is a good thing, because on a bullpup like this, we're going to have to mount this kind of far back to get the right eye relief, which is 0. This is a 0 eye relief optic, which means it is meant for you to be right in it to make sure you're seeing the maximum you can see. If you're holding off, you know, your face is back, you're now constricting what you're going to be able to see left to right downrange. So if you notice, there's kind of a rubbery eye cup on here. This is meant to have your face right in there, and the glass on it is really clear. And because it comes with these brackets, the mounting is, I mean, you actually just mounted the scope. It just goes onto the Picatinny, and then I'll probably grab a tool and just give these just a little bit. I don't want to over crank, especially these back ones, because there's nothing in the middle here. But I may crank these just a little bit, so it's, and crank is the wrong word. I'll give a little turn on this to make sure it's there. As far as the optic goes, it gives you the front cap, which is magnetic and clicks into multiple positions. And then the back, you have kind of a plug just so nothing scratches that up or gets dirty. You've got turrets left and right, up and down. You've got parallax on this side. It is an illuminated reticle, so you've got a battery cover on this side. This will be the first time I've used this unit, so kind of excited to see how it works. All right, I think we are ready to head to the bench, get some chronograph numbers, and then see what kind of accuracy we get on the indoor range at 30 yards. So the magazine is super easy to load. You basically just have to pull this steel cover off, set that somewhere aside, and then from the same direction that the cover came, you just push the pellets through. I'm using JSB 18.13s, and they fit really tightly in there. I don't think they'd come off even if there wasn't this cap. So really easy to set up. So filling the cylinder is super easy. You connect with a Foster quick filling. Make sure the valve on your tank is set. And then you just fill it up to whatever you're able to fill. Remember, this airgun goes to 300 bar. Now, the tank I have here at the shop only has 250 bar in it. And from 250 bar, I've been getting with the shorty barrel and the small tank, 2 full magazines, so that's 30 shots before I have to refill. If you took it up to 300 bar, you're definitely going to get more shots per fill out of it. But unless you're running a personal compressor out in the field, or I guess you're shooting at your own place where you got access to 300 bar of air consistently, 250 bar is a pretty good benchmark. So I would say it's at least 2 magazines on a 250 bar fill, and I would guess it's at least 3 magazines, if not part or all of a fourth, up to a full 300 bar fill. I know in the manual they have a chart. In fact, I'll throw that up here while I'm talking. And the chart talks about caliber and how many shots per fill. Now, all of those things are based on a number of factors, at least one of which doesn't apply to this particular variant of the airgun. And that's that this is a short-barreled model with a short tank. So to me, the way they built their chart, it looks like they're talking about the standard length with the standard length 480 tank. That means longer barrel, which means you need less air to get up to the same velocity, and bigger tank, so more air capacity. So I think the shot count numbers and the velocity numbers are a little bit different for this variant of the gun, but that's what I have for testing, so that's what I'm reporting on to you. For a shorty semi-auto, 30 to 45 shots per fill, I mean 2-3 magazines, I'm gonna be pretty okay with that. I really like how easy these magazines are to load. Some of the air guns I've used that have this style of kind of like a chamber magazine, the pellets go in so loosely that as you put them in, you kind of have to keep your finger over the front so they don't fall out. But these really, it's not like it's hard to push them in, but you kind of feel like you're seating them. And that gives me some confidence that they're not just going to tumble out the front. Now, the way the air rifle is designed, there is a plate here that would keep a pellet from falling out once it's loaded. So they are kind of sandwiched in, but I think even without that, you wouldn't have a problem. I also am finding that as I load it and shoot it more, and of course, every time I talk about loading it, it trips me up. You have to just push that pellet off a little bit to one side, or the magazine rather, the drum, just has to go in just right. And once you get it into that spot where it goes in, then you can slide that bolt and it's no problem. But if I'm talking about it while I'm doing it, it causes me some problems. Okay, I've got the target downrange and we're going to run a full 2 magazines through it and look what the velocity is like. We're going to take the first couple of shots really slowly, and then once we get into the second magazine, we'll probably speed up the pace just a little bit. But not showing you the downrange just because we're trying to just doing velocity now, not trying to do velocity and accuracy at the same time. So. $9.42. $9.38. Oops.
900, 32, 34,
0.7,
900, 36, 35,
0.0,
900, 36, 35,
0.1,
900, 32, 34,
0.7,
900, 36, 35,
0.0,
900, 36, 35,
0.1.
So what it's reporting is first the numbers, so 936, and then it's giving you foot-pounds as bonus information.
Nine hundred, 32, 34,
0.8,
900, 36, 35,
0.0,
900, 33, 34,
0.8,
900, 32, 34,
0.8,
900, 34, 34,
0.8,
900, 30, 34,
0.6.
last bullet. 900, 28, 34,
0.4.
empty magazine.
So thank you, Ms. FX Sweden, for telling me it's time to reload. Boy, there is a trick to getting that magazine in there, and about the time I have to return this gun, I'm going to have it figured out. It's not hard, but there is that little bit of you just have to get it aligned just right and then throw that bolt. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit on this second magazine, but started out at 942, ended at 928. So we've got a 14 foot per second spread and a standard deviation of 3.5, which isn't too bad. So let's see what happens when we shoot that just a little bit faster. Oops.
930, 34,
0.6,
935, 34,
0.9,
935, 34,
0.9,
900, 34, 34,
0.9,
900.
She's trying really hard to tell us.
35,
0.4,
900, 33, 34.
All right, so as far as the chronograph goes, it only read, so it only read 7 of those shots because I was shooting them, I think, as the chronograph was trying to keep up. So I'm going to read those to you. 930, 935, 935, 934, 941, 933, 931. That actually was a little bit tighter than the first 15 were. So what that tells me is from a, like, where does accuracy come from on an air gun? Part of that equation is consistency. So can it consistently put a pellet out at the same speed, especially as the distance is greater? If there is variations in velocity, you're going to see drop off. Now at 30 yards, you can afford some variation. In fact, I've done shots, shot strings where at 30 yards, you could maybe lose 60 or 80 feet per second and really not yet see that drop. But as we go farther and the target is farther away, that definitely is going to become a problem for you if your gun is not putting out pellets at a consistent velocity. And I would rank this as a very consistent air gun, especially because it's semi-auto. Now, this gun also has full fun setting. I'm not going to try and chronograph that because the chronograph is only going to pick some of the pellets out. You're not going to get true data. But we will shoot that on the outdoor range and see how it groups in that setting. Next up is going to be 30-yard indoor accuracy. I have pretty high hopes from this setup. I'm liking how this scope works, though I have to get used to, it's not just like get up there and look, you really kind of want to press your eye into the eye cup. And boy, it really does have very clear image edge to edge. The reticle is very crisp. The parallax knob is smooth and very sensitive, and so I don't shoot field target regularly, but I understand the importance of a very finely graduated parallax wheel when it comes to using your parallax wheel as a range finding tool. And I would say that this has a little tiny turn on this, and it's making a big difference, which means you have very precise parallax adjustment. And it would be the kind of scope you could use for some range finding, which may have some utility. The turrets, they're not the clickiest in the world, and I would say they're not quite as tactile as other scopes in the Element Optics line, but so far I haven't had any problems with them. Like I said before, you've got the exposed elevation turret for dialing your firing solution, and then you have a capped windage turret, which is just fine for hunting applications where you don't really have to turn that very much. It is a really clear scope though, and I really find myself liking that. Okay, we're gonna turn the tank back on, get it filled up again, because that brought it right back down to where it did before. So in that roughly 100 bar, 250 to 150, as it's tuned now, it's going about 100 bar or about 50 bar per magazine. So we're going to reload the magazines, put more air in it, set the chronograph to the side, put a camera downrange, and we'll give you some 30-yard no wind condition accuracy. It is pouring rain outside and it has been pretty much all day, so we're not going to get any longer distance today. So that'll have to come in on another day. It'll be part of this video, so you guys will be like, oh, it's another day. And probably the only thing you'll notice is my hair will be just a little bit longer, but and I'll wear different clothes. But we'll get some longer distance, at least stretch it out to 50 yards and see what kind of groups it puts out there. I may also just adjust that velocity down a little bit. You know, this is how it comes to me. This is a box to bench review, and the purpose of a box to bench review is to give you an idea of what you can experience on day one when you get the gun and you're excited and you just want to go shoot. That's the experience I'm trying to set you up for. So I'm not doing any playing with this right now as I'm doing this shooting, but maybe, depending on when we get clear weather, maybe I will, probably for me shooting the 18 grain JSBs, I will knock that velocity down, which is super simple. You just have to know, do I turn it clockwise or counterclockwise, which is on the gun. It actually says it on the gun, and tune it down until you hit the velocity you want. So it's a super easy gun to do some tuning on. But for right now, let's get you a target downrange and let's shoot some groups. Getting better every time. All right, I've got a fresh magazine. Excuse me. I've got a fresh magazine in. I've got targets downrange. So let's see how she does. I pulled that one. It is just so easy to pull that trigger. And there was one low on that last, maybe two low on that last one, hard to say. That last group, and one dropped out on that second group, but super, super fun to shoot. So yesterday we did a couple of 5-shot groups, and that was kind of where I left it. And I was thinking to myself that today I would get out and stretch the legs a little bit and be able to do some really rapid fire, if you know what I mean. And it's raining. It's been raining pretty much on and off all day, so not a good day for us to get out to the range, but wanted to do a little shooting with it because it is really just so much fun to shoot. And boy, you hate to waste a whole day. So I think I have enough trust with the rifle to actually do a little fun shoot here. So I've got a fresh 15-round magazine. I think I figured something out with the magazine and the loading. I think I had been kind of over indexing it, and I think the key is to get it in place and then kind of walk it in and then lock it. And I think if you do that, you've got a much more an easier time getting it in. Basically, what I want you to know is I was a little bit fiddly and fumbly with this when I first started loading the mag and putting it in there. I've gotten much better. It's a lot easier now that I've kind of got the feel for it. So as a new owner, don't get frustrated. You get frustrated, you start cranking on stuff, and it doesn't make it better. So I'm going to switch this over here. It does switch and then kind of stop, and there is a like full push down that you want to make sure you do, because it can, if you don't do that, pop back off. I've been warned it'll pop up and you'll be back in semi mode. So set there, set on the trigger safety, camera's rolling down range. That's full magazine. Let's go take a look at that. Fun gun to shoot. Absolutely fun gun to shoot. I do think before I take it outside and do some longer distance accuracy, I do think what I'm going to do is tune it down just a little bit. The velocity yesterday was very consistent, but a little high for my liking. So not bad for, you know, it'll fire as long as you keep the trigger pulled. So that's, we'll get a photo of that up for you so you can see it a little bit longer, but that's not a bad group, not bad at all. So we are outside on the 50-yard range, and we're going to go for a little bit of full auto fun. Got a full 15-round magazine. I just topped off. I have dropped the velocity down, and again, it's just a simple matter of following the guides on the underside here and rotating this wheel to the right direction. And we'll see how she does at 50 yards this time. I've definitely found that I'm getting better at seating that magazine the more I shoot. That's a lot of fun, and actually not a bad group downrange. So I'm gonna walk down there and get a close-up of that. All right, well, let's see how she groups in semi. Ooh, that went in perfectly smooth. Nice. There's hope for me yet. Well, here we are at the end of the video, and it is about time for me to give you my thoughts on the Western Airguns Sidewinder. Like I've said multiple times through the video, I've been looking at the 22 caliber custom shorty version. And again, just to kind of run down, there is an unshrouded but moderated barrel, and then back here, these are custom 3D printed parts that I'm told by Alamo are going to be available through their website in multiple colors to fit whatever your build specifications are. And the quality on the print is quite good. No issues there. So let's talk about what I like. First of all, this gun is a load of fun to shoot. And if you're thinking about picking one up, I know why you want it. And I have two things to say. Make sure you are air independent, because while this gun is not what I would consider an air hog, and certainly in the longer versions, it gets pretty good shots per fill from what the specs say. But you're going to shoot it a lot, and you're going to need to be able to fill it often. So that's number one. Number two, stock up on JSBs. Because you are going to shoot this a lot, and you are going to go through a lot of pellets in the process. I mean, that's really what an air gun like this is about, is that kind of, let's just get out there and let's do some shooting, kind of fun shooting. Now, it is a capable hunter. I was really impressed by the accuracy as I was shooting it in kind of a, what I would say, like, you know, burst mode, like controlling the trigger. Let me throw up the best group I shot here. And really, that's not bad for this kind of shooting. It is also reasonably accurate. Let's call it minute a squirrel. Let me throw up an analysis here. This was my best 50-yard group. And I should say that when I do a box to bench review like this, I don't shoot group after group after group. I shoot the group, and that's what I show to you guys. And the reason I do that is I want your time spent watching this video, and I know they do get long. I read the comments. But I want your time to be reflective of what the ownership experience is going to be like. So I don't cherry pick groups. I don't shoot it for weeks on end and then show you the best ones. What you've seen in this video, those are the groups that I shot. So it is respectably accurate and just easy, especially for somebody coming from a firearm side who's used to semi-automatic actions. There is no side lever. You don't need to break your sight picture. You can just shoot and then take a follow-up shot. It's really nice. In all of my shooting, I did not have one what I'd consider a misfire or malfunction. This was flawless for the entire time I've had to work with it. So I gotta be honest with you, in the world of semi-automatic air guns, it is possible for things to get kind of off kilter, and that never happened with the Sidewinder. So I was pretty impressed by that. I like the way they've put this kind of offset filler port and the gauge right on the same side. I found that convenient. I got used to the trigger safety and then kind of the selector back here. If there were things that I could change, from a bench shooting perspective, I would maybe want this to be just a little bit further out. But for a compact walk-around hunting gun, you don't need the weight. I wish there was a little bit more to the shoulder. It, again, perfectly functional, and especially with like a zero eye relief scope, like the Element version that I threw on here. It works. I just like a little more feeling of security on my shoulder, I guess. So I'd maybe hope for the aftermarket to provide something a little more shoulder filling there. Let's talk about the color, because I know for some people that's going to be kind of an instant, man, I love that, or, oh dear God, what is this thing? And so to have this conversation, what I want you to do is just look past this color for a minute. Alamo Airguns is doing something pretty cool in that they're entering into what is really a pretty small area in the airgun world, and that's that they're willing to get these guns in, take them apart, do the prep work, get you the color palette that you want, and then send it off to you. But not only that, and by the way, I think they told me that price is somewhere around 350 bucks. They're willing to receive your air gun that you already bought, maybe from somebody else, do that work, get it colored the way you want it, and then ship it back to you. There aren't a lot of places doing that. So, and I should say, there are probably a lot of places that specialize in doing firearm stuff that do that. But do you trust them to know how to do that on your air gun? Are they going to know how to get it back together? Are they going to know what's important in terms of passage sizing so that they maintain all the tolerances? I don't think so. I've worked with some firearms folks on cerakoting projects, and sometimes parts have come and I've been like, hey, this, and they're like, oh, we didn't know. So having somebody in the industry who's willing to do that, if you've got something you want to send someplace else, and I'm not saying nobody's doing it, I'm saying I'm not seeing it advertised very often. So that's a big deal. Custom parts are a big deal, and I wish Alamo all the best of luck, because let's say you don't care for this color scheme, but you want a titanium blue, gray, whatever combination you come up with, give Rudy or Tay a call, and they'll work through the process with you. So I think that's as exciting to me as anything else about this airgun, because it's great when we have relatively small shops stepping up saying, hey, there's some cool stuff, then we want to do it to make your experience better. I enjoyed my time with this airgun. It's semi-automatic, so you're going to have to deal with maybe not the what I would consider like a match grade trigger. This trigger is a little bit long and creepy, but it functions. And like I said, I had no problems at all in use during the time I had with this airgun. Really a lot of fun to shoot, very reliable, and if you're in the market for something with the features this one has, an easy airgun to recommend. So if you have questions, as always, throw them in the comments. Please feel free to like and share the video. And by the way, on the comments, what's nice about an airgun like this is because I am developing this relationship with Alamo. If I don't know the answer, I can make a phone call and get it for you. So hopefully that helps you out if you have questions. But until the next video, everybody, shoot safe, shoot straight, and we'll see you around.